What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Gold Standard. Today, we're going to be talking about Square. And Square is a company that some of you may know, some of you may not know, but they've seen a meteoric rise, up 245% year to date. And I truly do believe that this is a company that's just going to continue to grow as the decade goes on. This is a company that, has made investments in the right places. And I want to lay out some of the different reasons why I believe this is going to happen. Full disclosure, I am a shareholder in Square. I'm a huge proponent of the company, but like I said, take everything I say with a grain of salt. Make your own investment decisions, because at the end of the day, I am just some guy on YouTube with like 3 subscribers. So actually, strike that. I think I have 2 subscribers. So like I said, take everything I say with a grain of salt. But with that being said, I wanted to start out with the macroeconomic trends of Square. And then I was going to talk about a little bit about Cash App, and then its financials, because I do think that's important, because they have a lot of foresight and made a lot of important investments with their financials. And I think that's something that kind of goes under the radar a little bit. And then I wanted to finish it out by talking a little bit about their Bitcoin investment. So starting with the macroeconomic trends of the economy, to start at the 2008 recession, right? And so a lot of people realized during the 2008 recession that not only is the financial industry, it needs, so much more regulation, but it also needs a lot more disruption. The financial industry is essentially kind of a dinosaur. It's up there with healthcare and education as far as how old it is and how much disruption it is set to see in the future. And so this is kind of where the rise of fintech came in. And not only the rise of fintech, but the rise of Square, really. And so Square was founded in 2009, right in the middle of the Great Recession. And Square realized that there is a lot of different aspects that, can be capitalized on in the financial industry by utilizing tech and utilizing innovation to get ahead. And so, initially they started as a small business company, and they still are a small business company. They give the platform to small businesses to be successful, but they have since grown into many different areas. They're almost like an octopus with how many different arms they have, how many different revenue streams they have. And so, it's truly a really diversified company. And so Square has diagnosed the buying behavior of these generations and created a complete ecosystem, financial ecosystem, in order to tailor to their needs and understand what they do and don't like, and solve a lot of problems that this generation has, really. The younger generation has seen the havoc that credit and debt has wreaked on the economy, and it's reflected in their adoption of credit and debt, really. The younger generation is much more open to utilizing debit cards, utilizing money that they actually have instead of utilizing money that is someone else's money. And so this is reflected in Square's product portfolio. Cash App focuses on more of a debit side of things instead of being more on the credit side, like a Visa or Amex. Kind of with that being said, I believe as the younger generation matures financially, matures in their careers, and gains more purchasing power in the global economy, then they'll be able to dictate that trend and that transition from a credit economy to a debit economy. And so this is, one of the areas where Square is really positioned to really thrive and succeed as time goes on, because they've made that investment into debit instead of credit. And moving on to Cash App. Not only is Cash App more holistic and Venmo in its user experience, but it is also a bet on the cashless economy. And that's one of the major aspects that Square has really hung its hat on, is making that bet on the cashless economy, and as that trend grows. And not only that, but Square has made huge investments into the brokerage features of Cash App. Ever since it launched in 2019, Cash App has seen 2.5 million users buy stocks and Bitcoin on their app. And so, like I said, that just not only is that just huge user growth, but that also opens up a huge swath of the population in order to contribute in the equities market, contribute in cryptocurrencies, and really contribute and join in on this wealth creation vehicle. And so, this is something that's, like I said, that's just a trend that's going to continue to grow as time goes on. You might be noticing a trend with Cash App, right? And the trend is, you can receive your direct deposit on there. You can pay your bills on there. You can pay your friends on there. You can buy stocks on there. You can buy Bitcoin on there. So Cash App can do everything. It's a one-stop shop to manage all your finances. And that's what they're really trying to go for here whenever they envision Cash App. And the CFO and Jack Dorsey has said as much whenever they were on their earnings call for the third quarter of 2020. So I do believe Cash App will be an extremely valuable asset as time goes on. So what does this mean? I believe that the innovation investment Square has made into their company is starting to bear their fruit. So if we're looking at a adoption innovation curve, I believe that they'd probably be somewhere around right here. And so they haven't even gotten to their total addressable market. And so it just shows that there's so much more room for growth as time goes on, especially during this next decade for Square. And so this is very promising. But some of you may say, yeah, but Square is not profitable, and it's barely profitable. It barely turned a profit in this last quarter, and it's only 37 million. And to that, I would say, yeah, that's true. That is very true. However, you have to look at why they're not extremely profitable right now. And they are a growth company. And so they're making investments in places instead of, just pocketing that money and trying to get their bottom line as high as they can get it. So that's one thing you really have to look at. So in order to do that, we have to look at their financials. And so I spent a few hours going through Square's financials and their financial documents, and it gets very interesting here. And despite bringing in more gross profit in the year 2020, Square had a bigger net loss for this year so far. Last year, they lost $15 million. This year, they're around $80 million. So what gives, right? What's going on here? And so it's all in Square's operating expenses if you look on their income statement. And Square has made huge investments into its product development and its sales and its marketing. But for product development, it went from roughly $500 million a year to $628 million this last year. And for sales and marketing, it went from $439 million last year to $781 million this year. So these expenses, they may lay down their income statement, but they're not so much expenses as they are investments, long-term investments at that. And so this is primarily investment into their Cash App product. And the CFO has said as much in their earnings call. And I'll make sure to link that in the description so you all can read through the transcript or give it a listen, because it's very insightful on what they envision in their guidance for Cash App and for their small business products. And I truly do believe through this investment in their product development, their sales, and the marketing, that we'll see a higher return on investment for quarters to come. And so this is very exciting, and this is a reason why I would say don't be afraid that they're not turning a profit right now, or that they're barely turning a profit. Because the bottom line is that Square could milk the cash cow of what they have right now, because they are generating a lot of revenue, and they could make their margins wider and start maturing as a company. But they do realize that they have a lot bigger of a total addressable market. And so they're reinvesting that money back into the company and making a more sustainable and efficient business system by investing in AI, machine learning, automation. And this will definitely make them profitable long term. And so I would say do not fret because they're not profitable right now. It's just a sign that they're investing money into the right places. And so finally, I wanted to talk about Bitcoin. And so Square, back in October, they bought around 4,700 Bitcoin. I think the actual number is 4,709 Bitcoins. And it was worth around $50 million. And so Square bought around right here. And so they just seen an incredible growth from Bitcoin. And even Jack Dorsey, the CEO, has said as much. He said, Square believes a cryptocurrency is an instrument of economic empowerment and provides a way for the world to participate in the global monetary system, which aligns with the company's purpose. Now, it might sound like a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but there is a very important aspect about all this, is that Bitcoin is a vehicle to democratize just the global financial system, right? What companies can benefit from that? Companies like Square, because it allows them to enter into different markets, because they don't have to deal with the red tape and the bureaucracy of dealing with different governments, because Bitcoin is one single currency for everyone on planet Earth. And so this allows for even a bigger total addressable market for Bitcoin, which is very exciting. So Square is trying to leverage that in order to get past those barriers to entries in different countries. And so you have that one aspect right there where they bought a lot of Bitcoin and have the foresight to see that this is something that's going to be very promising for years to come. But you have the other aspect too, is where they're trying to assure that other people can invest in Bitcoin as well and kind of take down the barriers to entry for that. And so, if you download Cash App right now, you can buy not only stocks, but you can buy Bitcoin too. And I've done this myself, and it's very, very easy. And so, just as simple as pressing a few buttons and then boom, you can buy Bitcoin. And so they're making a huge bet on Bitcoin. They're making a huge bet on cryptocurrencies. And personally, I believe that bet's going to pay off long term. I guess time will tell. We've seen how much Bitcoin has ran up in the past few months, so we'll have to wait and see. So what is the bottom line from all this? Square is creating a holistic ecosystem that allows for the younger generation to detach from the archaism of the financial industry at the end of the day. And instead they're presenting them with a newer, a more innovative, and a more user-friendly alternative. And with that being said, the adoption of Cash App, the adoption of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, the adoption of a more cashless society will all feed into Square's bottom line as years to come, as decades go by, really. And they figured out how to monetize this perfectly by using fees, by making the right investments, by making sure that they're investing into the long term instead of the short term. The most important aspect of this is that Cash App will be just an extremely valuable asset as time goes on, as the trends of the macroeconomy continue, as the younger generation gains more purchasing power. Cash App will just become more valuable because it is an all-in-one product to manage your finances. And the more money that is in Cash App, the more money that Square makes. So, in conclusion, Square has not only made a bet in Bitcoin, but they've made a bet on a cashless economy. And by proxy, they've made a bet on a whole generation coming to economic power. And I don't know about y'all, but that's a bet I'm willing to take 10 times out of 10.